लोग प्रधानमंत्री का अभिवादन कर रहे हैं, इस्तकबाल कर रहे हैं। जो फूलों की वर्षा आप देख रहे हैं कि फूलों की वर्षा लगातार की जा रही है ताकि वो अपने जो चहेते प्रधानमंत्री हैं उनका स्वागत कर सके, उनका सम्मान कर सके। और प्रधानमंत्री भी लगातार हाथ हिलाकर लगातार लोगों का अभिवादन कर रहे हैं। तो ये जोश, ये उत्साह देखने को जो मिल रहा है। सड़क की दोनों तरफ बड़ी संख्या में लोग मौजूद हैं। बड़े उत्साह के साथ, बड़े जोश के साथ प्रधानमंत्री का स्वागत किया जा रहा है, फूलों से वर्षा की जा रही है। और कुछ ही देर बाद प्रधानमंत्री जो खेल महाकुंभ है उसका उद्घाटन करेंगे। तो आप सीधी तस्वीरें गुजरात से देख रहे हैं जहां पर बड़ी संख्या में लोग अपने प्रधानमंत्री का स्वागत करने के लिए उतरे हुए हैं। और कुछ ही देर बाद जो खेल महाकुंभ है उसका उद्घाटन करेंगे प्रधानमंत्री। तो 2 दिवसीय दौरा जो है प्रधानमंत्री का बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण, आप ये सीधे तस्वीरें देख रहे हैं जहां पर और लोग बड़ी संख्या में प्रधानमंत्री का इंतजार भी कर रहे हैं कि प्रधानमंत्री उनके पास से गुजरेंगे तब लोग अभिवादन करेंगे। और ये आप देख रहे हैं कि जो युवा हैं, छात्रों की जो है कि एक बड़ी संख्या में छात्र भी मौजूद हैं।
There to inaugurate the Khel Mahakumbh, we can see the carcade moving in from Gandhinagar Raj Bhavan to the Ahmedabad Sardar Patel Stadium, where Prime Minister would be inaugurating a state Olympics, which he in fact started in 2010. So this is 11th edition, could not be held during the last 2 years because of the pandemic. But then this is one big mega event which Prime Minister is really proud of because it has contributed to inculcating sports culture in Gujarat, and hence the state contributing to national sports as well. In fact, as Chief Minister, he had conceived the idea of inculcating values of sports in the society and let it go right down to the village level with this Khel Mahakumbh, which is in a sort of a novelty at that time, included cash prizes for every sports and for everyone winning in the sport. It includes about 36 various categories, including the traditional Indian sports. First, there are village level competitions, then there are regional block level competitions, then there are district level competition and the state level one. This is an important one. Prime Minister first reaching the venue, but before that, being serenaded, welcomed, cheered by people of Gujarat, people of Ahmedabad. It's their leader, son of the soil, Chief Minister, who they went on to become Prime Minister, Amit from behind the SPG, security, Prime Minister, waving at the crowd, or waving back at the crowd. And in fact, he slowed down. If you look at it, even as there is a light security detail, the car has slowed down because Prime Minister wants to engage with the crowds present, respond to them, and to wave back at them, and let be seen by them, even as they, with a lot of excitement that can be seen on the screen viewers, welcome their leader, their Prime Minister, their Narendra Bhai, as they would say in Gujarat. These are the roads where Prime Minister, in his days as a young BJP leader, would have, gone on a scooter and even walked in these lanes and along these roads. And today we have seen, like yesterday in the Roadshow, he has been in an open jeep, connecting, engaging with the people of Gujarat, his home state. And now he's arriving at the venue where he would be inaugurating the Khel Mahakumbh, about which I was mentioning earlier. One of the pet schemes of Prime Minister aimed at inculcating sports culture, sports inclination in society at large. In fact, we have seen that amplifying at the national level with the Modi government launching the TOPS, which is a scheme for targeting Olympic podium, which has seen India getting highest ever medal tally in the Olympics in the last edition. Prime Minister now from close quarters now, you can see him waving back at the crowds as he makes his way from Gandhinagar to Ahmedabad and to the Sardar Patel Stadium where the Khel Mahakumbh would be launched in a while from now. You can expect another of in his speeches. Remember also that this is happening just a day after BJP's victories in 4 states, returning all of them, except for Punjab, winning Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Manipur, and Goa, and the Prime Minister sort of making a victory lap yesterday when he landed in Ahmedabad, right up to Gandhinagar in a roadshow. Earlier in the day, there was another roadshow when he went from the Raj Bhavan to the venue of the Rashtriya Raksha University to inaugurate some building complex there. And now when he's traveling back to Ahmedabad to inaugurate the Khel Mahakumbh, the roads being lined up by people at large, by cadres, by BJP workers, leaders, and supporters generally of the Prime Minister. Not just supporters, but I would say people at large. The population of Ahmedabad coming out, lining the streets to welcome their Prime Minister, their Narendra Bhai. He's passing through Navarangpura, and the local unit of the BJP there, the workers standing by to wave at the Prime Minister, even as security arrangements are there to take care of that aspect of Prime Minister's visit. He would be reaching the Sardar Patel Stadium in a while, and as I mentioned, he would be inaugurating the Khel Mahakumbh. We have seen it's a one-of-its-kind government program which has brought in sporting culture to Gujarat. It includes Indian sports like kabaddi and kho-kho, just so that every part of the population is involved. In fact, it incentivizes participation with cash prizes, which was a novelty when Prime Minister launched it as Chief Minister in 2010. It's been more than a dozen odd years. This is the 11th edition, could not take place last 2 years because of the pandemic, and that's why this is scaled this time, being shepherded, being overseen by Gujarat's very young Home Minister Harsh Sanghvi, who took over, who became part of the cabinet in the last reshuffle that took place about a year ago in Gujarat, with the Chief Minister Vijay Rupani making way for Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel, and Gujarat getting an entirely new cabinet. But that's politics part of it. Remember, Gujarat is going into elections, into poll season later this year, in December around, along with Himachal Pradesh. BJP has won 4 states just today. So after hitting a 4, perhaps the party obviously would want that they make it a 6. And Prime Minister there, just a day after, fresh from the victory, going to Gujarat, his home state, and engaging with the masses, engaging with the state leadership, engaging with the MPs, MLAs, and through these programs, generally connecting with his old constituents, so to say, with whom he has had a long relationship of governance, and before that, as a leader, as someone from amongst them, as someone who has worked with them. The connects can be seen in the pictures. And the excitement is two-way. In fact, if you look at these close pictures from just behind the Prime Minister from inside the car, he's very happy to be greeted by the people of Ahmedabad. He has had a long stint, much before any executive role that he had as Chief Minister or Prime Minister, in Ahmedabad, where he lived in Maninagar area, which was his constituency, also in the Assembly constituency. He lived in the RSS headquarters there in Maninagar. And from there to the Prime Minister of India, what a journey. People there acknowledging that journey with that personal connect that is there. The streets lined up, absolutely non-stop. There is no gap whatsoever. People coming out and waiting there, or have waited there, for the Prime Minister to come in, now that he is on the way to Sardar Patel Stadium in Ahmedabad, where he would be launching Khel Mahakumbh, a big event insofar as the sporting calendar of Gujarat goes. And as I mentioned earlier, it has 16 sports, and this time it is going to have about 1 million plus participants. In fact, this time it is going to have 45 lakh sports persons. In fact, I stand corrected. In the last edition, there were about 1.5 million. And this really shows the kind of interest that is there in the youth, particularly of the state, in participating in this sporting event, which, as I said, has cash prizes. Also, aimed at encouraging participation and making it broad-based. But once you get involved, the idea is that the cash incentive is just one part of it. Once you get involved in it, you develop that sense of a sporting culture in the society. And that's why it also includes traditional Indian sports like Kho Kho and Kabaddi, apart from the regular ones like tennis and skating and fencing. We have seen the results of this coming in by way of India getting its highest Olympics medal tally in the last edition, because Prime Minister, the Modi government introduced the TOPS scheme, various other schemes, is sponsoring sports persons at the best of global facilities if they show promise, and reducing bureaucracy, focusing more on the sporting talent. And now, of course, as of now, it's about Prime Minister's connect with the masses. Flowers, petals being thrown towards the car in which Prime Minister is traveling. He, of course, acknowledging the welcome with equal happiness and excitement that can be seen, or exuberance that can be seen from the camera, which is behind him inside the car. He's in Ahmedabad now. He should be reaching the Sardar Patel Stadium anytime. Seems he's passing through Navrangpura. That's where the stadium is actually, so he should be reaching anytime. And there he would be inaugurating the Khel Mahakumbh. It seems he's almost reached, because I can see the SPG getting back in the cars and not running on the ground. Yes, so this is Navrangpura, in fact, and he should be reaching, even as he continues to be greeted by people who would have waited here for some time for the Prime Minister to arrive and to pass by as they wave at him with flags, many BJP flags, national flags, bandanas, and that typical BJP scarf, which shows that many of them are the BJP workers, cadres also. Remember, it's been 7 years that their Narendra Bhai has been Prime Minister. Niranjan joining me. Niranjan, these pictures really show the kind of connect that the Prime Minister has. Of course, he has to have with his people, own people, son of the soil that he is, from Gujarat. This is a city where he has worked as an RSS pracharak. I mean, he began as someone who was in charge of a tea department in the RSS office in Maninagar, a constituency that he represented in Gujarat Assembly when he was Chief Minister. And now, of course, in the two pictures that you see, one from yesterday where he had a roadshow, and this time his journey from Gandhinagar to Ahmedabad turning into a veritable roadshow, given the kind of massive outpouring of people support, emotion that you are seeing, excitement that you are seeing, because they want to be seen there as the carcade of the Prime Minister passes by. Niranjan.
Well, Abhishek, you know the Prime Minister better. You've covered the Prime Minister for close to 2 decades and perhaps more. You've been a reporter in Gujarat. You followed him to New Delhi. So, just the question that I wanted to ask you was on the mood within the BJP and also in the Prime Minister's office. The timing couldn't have been better. This roadshow was this visit rather to Gujarat was planned even before the election results. But I think it's come. It's sort of giving them that much needed push in Gujarat, isn't it? It hasn't been comfortable in Gujarat, if I can say that, since the Prime Minister moved to Delhi. And you've had several chief ministers come and go, isn't it?
Well, yes, Niranjan. So you are absolutely right. Prime Minister passed on the baton to Anandiben Patel, but then despite being from the Patel community, she sort of had to face the headwinds from the Patidar movement, and that was also a period when Gujarat went into a sort of a caste cauldron, or became a caste cauldron with caste struggles cropping up. Hardik Patel's Patidar rebellion being just one of them. There was the one by Jignesh Mewani focused on the SC/ST communities, and then there was one by Alpesh Rathore Thakur, which was focused on the OBCs, essentially Thakur community. Some deft handling led to BJP coming back to power in 2017, but with reduced majority, and it was a kind of majority that would not have given a sense of comfort to a party that has really ruled the state for almost 3 decades. And that's why we had, after a year and a half of Vijay Rupani, him making way for Bhupendra Patel. So, and that transition was almost a purge, Niranjan, in the sense that the old guard entirely made way for new, youthful, young, fresh faces in the Gujarat government led by Bhupendra Patel. So I think the plan was that this will take care of any element of anti-incumbency, and of course the entire campaign is run under the leadership and with the face of Prime Minister, who is still seen as son of the soil and really loved, and we can see that in those pictures, the kind of adulation. He has come out of the car and waving at the people, standing with the open door. So I think that really shows that he is one who would want to engage with the masses. He loves doing that. He does not want to have any barriers between him and the masses and the people with whom he shares this fantastic relationship of engagement. And now, of course, he's going back inside because they have to reach the Sardar Patel Stadium also. The security on its toes. After all, it's an open area and it's not a screened crowd. But then the people of Ahmedabad really coming out to welcome their Narendra Bhai, their Prime Minister. Ranjit.
Yeah, absolutely. Abhishek, I request you to stay with me. We'll have to take a short commercial break at this point. We'll take a break.